everyone, I'm Jim Sheese and I'm with Open Air Tours. Today we're going to talk about how to pack your backpack. What you really want to consider when packing a backpack is firstly, making sure that the weight distribution is correct, and secondly, making sure that certain things are easy to get to. So let's get started. First off, I like to start with your sleeping bag. The great thing here we have is a compression bag that lets you make your sleeping bag take up far less space in your backpack. And stuff that guy down on in the bottom of the backpack is what I'm going to do right here. So this backpack I'm holding is an internal frame backpack, which means that there isn't a frame that you can visibly see on the external of the pack. Additionally, what that does for you is it makes it fit better and makes it easier for you to balance, honestly, and makes you less tired at the end of the day. The disadvantage is that it's a big sack like this. As you can see, I'm having a little bit of difficulty getting this in here, and all you're going to have is one big sack with a couple of little peripheral pockets. As soon as we get the sleeping bag in there, we can get rolling a little better. Perfect. Okay, now it can stand up on its own even. Next comes my CamelBak here, and either you can use a hydration system like this, or a lot of people still use the Nalgene bottles here, the water bottles that'll go in side pockets here. That's fine too, but I find this easier for myself. So most backpacks nowadays have a little pocket right up against the back there. You see that? And you can just stuff it on in, and there's a little hole to stuff your hose through to bring up right by your shoulder. So I'm going to put that in there before everything else gets in my way. Now, one of the reasons that the water goes right here is because it's close to your back, and water is really heavy. And so really what you want is, ideally you want all your weight to be as close to your back as possible and have the lightweight stuff be further away from you, because it's going to make it easier for you to balance and make you a lot less tired. Additionally, you want it to be kind of centered around the center of your back instead of down below and up high. So that's what we're going to work on right now. Another of the heavier things you have, especially up in the Sierra, is you're required to use a bear canister. And this is what you store your food and any fragrant things in, so that the bears don't come and bother you or get into your food, whether or not they can smell it. So we'll shove that on in there. And at this point, what we want to do is we want to stuff kind of some of our peripherals around it. Now, this particular backpack has a side access point here. And again, when coming to accessibility, you want certain things easier to get to. Say it gets cold really fast. So I've got my beanie and my gloves here that I can put on that side of the bear canister. So I'm going to shove those in there, extra pair of socks in case my feet get wet. I can throw my thermals on the other side. I don't really get to those too quickly. And I like to throw my jacket up on top. Additionally, you also have your pot. In my particular setup right now, I try and put this isn't ideal, unfortunately, but I put it as close to my back as possible. It would be better if you could get it a little lower. With the bear canister, that makes it a little tougher. If you're just putting your food in a sack in some other areas where the bears aren't as used to people, or where it's not regulated, that's fine. You can shove it a little lower that way. And then here's a pillow. This is a convenience that you don't need to bring, but it's nice to have. Let's see here. So I'm going to tighten that up. We're pretty much done with the main pouch now. Next, we want to work on some of our little knickknacks here. So what do we got here? We have my toiletry kit. I love Ziploc bags. They're great. You can get nicer things like stuff sacks such as this, which are great too. But Ziploc bags are great. Keep things dry, keep things like soap from getting onto other stuff. And I'm going to go ahead and just shove these in the pockets here towards the sides. I bring a little journal, little steno or memo book works really well. A deck of cards is kind of nice to have when you're getting bored out there. Sometimes, you know, looking at nature can get a little monotonous, but most of the time not. Some of the other things you need a pass. This is a fire pass, and I keep it in the bag too so it doesn't get wet. You got your fire starters here for your stove. Here's my water filter, which is useful so you don't have to stress about catching anything. And a camera. Got a couple of other knickknacks here. spork and a headlamp. Let's go ahead and close that up. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put the first aid kit in here. No, I take that back. I'm going to put the first aid kit up in here. It's getting a little heavy towards the outside there. So let's go ahead. I've got a little more room on the sides here, so I'm going to shove this first aid kit down here. Another thing you want to be careful of is trying to put too much weight on one side or the other. You can feel it out and try and make sure things are balanced as far as the weight goes. So I put that on that side, I'll put this on the other side. This is the camp stove, like I was saying.
Oh, I'm thinking your brother. Yeah, that would be totally.
Now we're just about done. I'm not going to pack that because I've already got that water filter in there. Or excuse me, the Camelback. But these guys, the tent and the sleeping pad that you put underneath your sleeping bag, they're going to go on either side here on the outside of my pack. I'll just snap those in. Pretty much all external or internal frames have a lot of straps on them to make it easy for you to do these kinds of things. So real quick, we'll just snap those in, snug them up, flip it around. This is a two-person tent, so most of the time I actually split up this stuff. As you can see, there are two main pieces. The dark one is the actual tent, the light one is the rain fly. What I like to do is give the rain fly and the poles, which are buried in the tent right now, to someone else, and then I'll carry the tent or vice versa. That's pretty good. I think ideally I would actually end up shoving this in the top, but we're just going to move on for now. I got the wrong strap here. No wonder that was working so funny. Easily fixable. Alright. Another thing that I like about this particular pack is it has this stuff sack. It's just an open area that I can throw things in, which I like to have my trowel and my toilet paper in because those are some things that I like to get to very quickly sometimes. Okay, we're all strapped in. It's a good thing with an internal frame to tighten things up real tight because again that improves stability, keeps everything real cinched up, so when you throw it on, things aren't moving around too much. So I would strap myself on. We'll talk about how to do that another time and throw these poles together and off we would go. So remember, the two things you need to know are to keep things distributed close to your back. You want the heavy weight close to your back to avoid straining yourself and to give yourself better balance. And the second thing is to keep those things that you really want quick access to close to different pockets. Thanks for being here with us today, and we'll talk to you soon.